The Hong Kong Convention is finally in force. But wait, why are ship owners still asking, can I recycle this vessel safely without getting caught in a legal nightmare?
Because, let's be honest, the compliance landscape is messy. HKC is here, but so are Basel, and EUSRR, and port state controls. And oh no, there's that flag state angle too.
Today on the GMS podcast, we're unpacking the regulatory puzzle that every ship owner, recycler, and maritime lawyer is trying to figure out. HKC versus Basel versus EUSRR, what works where, and what to watch out for.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the GMS podcast. I'm Ingrid.
And I'm Henning. If you've been following this series, you know the Hong Kong Convention is already changing the game.
But even with HKC in force, there's a cloud of confusion hanging over many owners and operators. Today, we'll help clear it up, with help from some key voices from the GMS HKC Webinar Series.
Let's start at the top. The Hong Kong Convention, HKC, is now officially in force. It sets global standards for how ships should be recycled, safely, sustainably, and responsibly.
But then there's the Basel Convention, an older UN treaty that treats end-of-life ships as hazardous waste. And according to Basel, if you're exporting a vessel for recycling, you need prior informed consent between the sending and receiving countries.
That's paperwork, delays, and potential enforcement issues, especially in Europe and other OECD countries. And then there's the EU Ship Recycling Regulation, or EUSRR. If you're flying an EU flag, you can only recycle at yards on the EU's approved list, most of which are outside South Asia.
Here's the clash. HKC says, follow your flag state. Basel says, follow export controls. EUSRR says, follow our list or don't recycle.
Which creates a serious headache for ship owners. Even if your ship is 100% HKC compliant, you could still be blocked if you're sailing from an OECD port, you're flagged in the EU, or the yard isn't on the EU's approval list. And as Dr. Nikos Mikelis reminded us in the GMS HKC webinar, the real conflict isn't about safety or standards. It's that the same governments who asked the IMO to create the Hong Kong Convention are now refusing to let it function because they won't recognize it as equivalent to Basel.
And this isn't theoretical. During GMS webinar, Anaëlle Boudry from European Shipowners, ECSA, pointed out that overlapping rules like Basel and the EU SRR still make a level playing field hard to achieve, even with HKC in force.
To help reduce that confusion, the IMO introduced something called the Article 11 option. It allows countries that are party to both Basel and HKC to choose to apply HKC standards instead of Basel's export rules.
Sounds like a fix, but there's a problem. As Sveinung Oftedal from the Norwegian Ministry of Environment explained in GMS HKC Webinar Series, Article 11 is a tool, but not all states apply it. Without harmonization, ships may still face delays or regulatory conflict.
So what we're seeing is this. HKC is gaining ground, but enforcement and interpretation still depend on where your ship is flagged, where it's calling, and where it's going to be recycled.
So what does this mean for owners and operators? Let's break it down. First, know your flag state. Are they aligned with HKC? Do they apply Basel export rules? Second, know your last port of call, especially if you're sailing from Europe or any OECD country. Third, choose your yard wisely. HKC certified is a must, but in some cases, EU approved may also be required.
And above all, document everything. Inventory of hazardous materials, audit records, yard certificates, supervision logs. This is exactly where GMS and Sustainable Ship and Offshore Recycling Program, SSORP, help remove the guesswork.
In fact, during the GMS webinar, George Novak from the Liberian Registry emphasized how the Hong Kong Convention strengthens compliance by putting responsibility on flag states, helping ship owners stay on course even through regulatory confusion.
And that's exactly where programs like SSORP come in, helping owners translate regulations into real-world compliance, documentation, and yard supervision. So here's the truth. HKC gives ship owners the roadmap. SSORP gives them the toolkit. Together, they deliver compliance without the chaos.
And the industry's ready for it. From what we heard during the webinars, regulators and class societies agree. HKC works, it's proven, it's already being implemented by yards across India, Bangladesh, Turkey, and Pakistan.
The real challenge now is aligning enforcement and making sure good actors aren't penalized for doing the right thing. That's something Dr. Nikos also stressed. The ship recycling industry, especially in South Asia, has already done the hard work. These yards invested, upgraded, and aligned with HKC. Now they deserve recognition, not more red tape.
So if you're listening and wondering, can I navigate this compliance maze? Yes, you can. Start with expert guidance, follow the documentation trail, and work with people who know the landscape.
Coming up in our next episode, we take a closer look inside Sustainable Ship and Offshore Recycling Program, the framework that helps ship owners turn regulation into real-world execution.
Thanks for tuning in, and as always,
Stay smart, stay ahead, and stay with GMS.